Got it. That makes sense.
Okay, do I have a motion to open the meeting of June 18th, 2025?
I make a motion.
I
to open
second.
the meeting.
Okay. Before we start, I think it's a good idea to introduce ourselves.
Linda Workman.
Sharon Hines.
Laurel Pahalski,
Irene Thomas. Deb Stevenson.
and we have Alyssa.
Alyssa Lee, Director.
Okay, and we have Larry I always say your name wrong, McElhaney? McElhaney. McElhaney from the Friends, and we have George Honor, who we will be speaking to in a bit. Okay, Sharon, will you read the mission of the COA?
I will. The mission of the Council on Aging is to advocate for Groveland's older adults, to identify their needs, to develop and implement services, to meet their health, economic, social, and cultural needs, to encourage maximum independence, and to improve their quality of life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think what we'll do, where George, we had the emergency meeting to vote George Honor in as our newest member, who is replacing Marie Waller. We voted him in at our last meeting, emergency meeting, and he has been approved by the Select Board. So George, I guess, executive decision, you're on the board today. I thought it was July 1st. I didn't realize Marie had resigned. I thought she was going to fill till June 30th. So come on over here, and you can sit right next to me.
I mean, I think is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. It's just that it makes it, I guess 1 month isn't going to make a difference. So now, he's only filling till 2027, not 2028.
We'll have to.
It's
check
going
that
to
out
be
at
a
the
nightmare
town
with,
office.
We need to
Town's
find
clerk again.
your official list, Laurel.
well, I sent it, and
I know,
I
I'm-
was told I was wrong, that the town clerk's list was
But
correct.
I'm looking, didn't you send us the one that Annie had too, though?
I think the town
That's what I'm
clerk
looking
sent that.
for.
I have it, I have them
Oh,
both
I-
here. You want me to?
I don't remember seeing it.
If we want to take a minute for that, hold on. In terms of office old, I have May 17th, 2023.
Yep,
Okay.
that's the one I have.
Well, the new one is, that Annie sent, is Deb, Linda, and I expired 6/25, and we have all submitted our,
So
in-
Deb, Linda, Laurel,
Yes.
all expired.
so now we are good for
6/30.
6/28,
Eight. All right.
yes.
So we have to vote on that today, correct? Or not? We don't have to.
Well, technically, it's been
Yes, we do.
approved, but I think we should
Yes.
approve. So do you want
So
to jump
who
ahead
else-
to that now? Okay. I was
No, we'll do
gonna-
it down at the bottom. But who else do you have on that list for the dates besides?
And then 6/26, so next year it will be Sharon and Barbara.
Wait a second. 6/26, Sharon.
And Barbara. Because Sharon was replacing Linda Brown. Yes. And Barbara's, yeah. And 6/27 is Irene and Marie, which is now George.
Yes.
That's how the town has.
Okay, then we should stick with the town.
So we could stick in, I mean, I do have the old, it says who was who replacing, because when a lot of you came on,
When we
when
went
our-
from 5 to 7.
yes, and people left and you replaced,
But-
some of you were replacing 2-year terms, some was 1-year term, it was a nightmare, yeah. So I will change these names, this is the new, I'll do it when I get home. I don't
And then
have
we'll
to do
just
that
keep it
now.
this way. All right.
Right.
So I think George is legitimately seated.
Yes, okay. I was just thinking if we waited where we have a quorum, now his term would not be replacing Marie. It would be a new person
But I think we should keep people in this 3-year, so we don't have everyone, we should
Okay.
should have a rotating.
But there's 7, so there's always, yeah. But anyway, okay. So, welcome, George.
Hopefully that's
After
the
all
most
of that.
confusing conversation you ever have to.
Yes, yeah, and it was just, yeah, okay. Do I have a motion to approve meeting minutes? We have two meetings that we need to approve. May 21st, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those because I was at that meeting. Do that one.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, or discussion, are there any corrections or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes for May 28th, which was the special meeting that we had. A quickie just to vote so that George's name could be submitted to the select board. So some of us weren't here, but could I have a motion for that, to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Okay, second? Now, who was not there? Deb, you were not there.
I was not, so I can't vote.
You were not there. The rest, Linda, you were there, yeah.
I was there.
Okay, so it's
You're the four of you, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
So-
We're good.
approved? Yes?
Yes.
Say aye, aye, aye,
Of
okay.
those who were at that meeting.
For those at the meeting, so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go right to the director's report. Sorry for,
It's exciting. Well, thank you all so much for your time. Welcome, George. Glad to have you here. Copies I made today, they're very light, so
oh, it's not my glasses, good.
not you. But you do have a copy on online, and also if you need me to try a different printer for a hard copy, I certainly can. Yeah, I thought it was, I started out with a report that just came out, the Healthy Aging Report that gave data across the state. I just thought it was timely considering we are making the transition to have a full-time person in outreach. I don't know if anybody had any thoughts or, yeah?
I'm going to try it on my laptop. I tried to open the link on my phone.
Yeah.
And I could select Groveland, but I could never get it to go to Groveland.
really?
So I'll try it on my laptop.
It didn't work on mine either.
Oh, okay.
Did
On your
you?
phone? Well, it
No,
worked-
on my
no, it worked on my
laptop. I couldn't
computer
get
at
to
home.
That's
Groveland.
It was
Okay.
very
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I couldn't do it on my phone, so.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
problems. Oh, maybe I was doing it on my Kindle.
I couldn't get it on my laptop.
Okay, for the Groveland, but the rest was just very, it would be going through, and then each item, you'd have to go for Groveland. It wasn't like Groveland, here's a whole picture of Groveland for the different items.
It had, there's a couple different links, and so one of them is an interactive map, and I don't know if that's what you were trying to do, but the community profile, that should just be a page.
It was. It
Just-
is.
Okay,
And that's where I selected Groveland, but there was, and I think it's just because my phone screen is narrower, and there's
Yeah.
probably a button somewhere that I couldn't see that I need to see on my.
yeah, so the second one, where it says Groveland Community Profile, it should just be a document with all the data, but more than happy to print it out for anyone
Try
that
that.
would like to. And then the other one is just more of an interactive, let's see what it looks like, and it's color coded and all that fun stuff. You know, overall, so I think the questions were, you know, what I found interesting, you know, was that we're a pretty active community, and active meaning that when people were asked if they were active in the past month, they said yes. So, and active, I think according to the CDC, you know, regulations or parameters is 150 minutes a week of being active in heart rate. But nonetheless, that's still really awesome to see. You know, housing costs are definitely of concern. You know, nearly 70% of older adult renters spend more than 35% of their income on housing, and even homeowners 65 and above, 22.5% are also spending a significant amount of their income on housing. So, you know, again, just no, you know, new news, but it's always nice to have the data to support what we're thinking.
But looking at statewide, the renters is 43.6%, and Groveland is 70%. That is significant.
Yeah.
That is significant change.
Yeah.
So that there is a need for that kind of housing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting for the SNAP benefits. So for those that are unfamiliar with SNAP, that is, what used to be called food stamps. The only, and again, that is what it is. So right now, those that reported, only 2.3% of adults in Groveland are using SNAP benefits. I read that to be more, we need to get more people using it. Could be wrong, but
Being cut.
yeah, well, but
Curious
we'll,
about
we'll,
that. Was it because what would be more, to me, it would be more interesting to know how much, is this 2.3%, that's of all of the surveyed adults in
Of the
Groveland?
yeah, of the
But we
6
don't
plus.
know how many, what percentage of adults, older adults in Groveland are eligible. Right.
Well, and
We don't know.
we could, that's a number that we could find out.
That would be interesting
Because that's
to
just
know.
an income number, yeah.
Because
yeah.
if 20% are eligible and only 2%, then we have a big gap.
Yeah, no, that,
However, if 3% are eligible and 2.3% are already using it,
Right.
then it's not that big a gap. So I think that would be
That's exactly
useful
what I
information.
thought, are they eligible or not? Yeah.
yeah, I think on a different report, we could definitely find that number out. Yeah, my hunch, and then we'll see what it is, is that more education's needed. If not, then we're in a really good state. We'll see. So it is really expansive, again, always with a grain of salt about who's being asked and who's reporting. But nonetheless, it is pretty, it was a pretty detailed report and interesting to see how we, as a town, compare it to other towns. So, yeah.
I looked up Groveland and a couple of other communities.
Yeah.
And I saw especially a few communities with which I'm familiar who were in the high-ranking sections, and they were all listed as age-friendly communities and dementia-friendly communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what has to happen for a community to be considered age-friendly?
Yeah, so that was something, that I started looking at really when I first started here. So it's a number of criteria. It's a pretty soft
Okay.
program, but nonetheless still an important program, but things that make it an inclusive community, essentially. So things like walkability, having, the dementia programs of which we do have, making sure, that public places like this have arms on the chairs and things like that. So there is a sort of a worksheet of sorts, both through the AARP, but also through Dementia Friendly Massachusetts, that, would love to continue working forward on making that happen. Yeah.
So when I read that, I was wondering if that might be something appropriate for our strategic plan.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about the survey, a lot of that will come together. Just, using the AARP as sort of the foundation of where those questions are coming from, which are really trying to help the towns across the nation become more age-friendly. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I will notice that we have a lot more, well, at least where they've done the recent paving, it's been really helpful with the sidewalks, crosswalks, so that's been nice, yeah. Steps, we're getting there. Yeah, any other thoughts or questions? More than happy to look more into it, and I can print that document of all the steps. All right, well then, moving on to finance, again, no breaking news to report. We're definitely, as mentioned last time, no concern about being over budget. We're probably going to be under budget, again, from what we planned internally, keeping within our earned revenue of the revolving accounts and grants. There was, for those that saw my initial PDF I sent to you, there was, George drew attention. I lost my thought. There was an incomplete sentence on expense summary. 54% of the programming expenses were engagement expenses, again, all covered by our sponsorships for the program. I did include that in there. This month is definitely a wrap up for grant reporting and so forth. But, yeah.
So the money left over for the annual budget, this is what we've been allotted by the town? No.
No,
no.
this was just
We've
for
spent
for
down-
me. I'm used to creating a
Total budget.
budget for us as a department to work from, and for us, that means working with our revolving account and our grant
And the
account.
grant, right.
Yeah.
Trying to see what that is. Oh, yeah. So so the grant is for the fiscal year, or, I'm jumping ahead to financial report, never mind, I'm sorry.
No, that's where we're at. What do you?
Well, no, the report with the, the,
Yeah, but I mean, we're on
Chart.
finance right now.
right. I guess what I'm saying is, have we, or will we, by June 30th, have spent the money from the town budget?
So it's not the town budget.
No,
This
from
is
the town,
our-
but have we? Because otherwise, we have to return whatever we haven't
So
used.
the town
Right.
budget
was
is
only
paying for our
salaries.
salaries, so.
Oh,
Town budget
okay.
is only salary.
That's right, okay. This year it was, right. And the grants don't have to be used up by June 30th?
They do and they will be,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
They are.
They are,
Yeah.
okay. I have a little
They're,
trouble reading
they're,
these charts.
they are most of them are reimbursable grants, so, submitted one for the MCOA SIG grant, which was, somewhere around $800. The Mass DOT grant, $5,000. That needs to be turned in. Their deadline is in August. I know Ellen would like it done sooner, and certainly, I plan to do it beginning of July, just because we have June expenses that will be allocated towards that. Formula grant does not have to be spent down.
Right.
And, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, no, I don't want to get into a situation where, you did it fine.
Yeah.
You don't need that much next year.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
So the formula grant does not have to be spent down.
That is correct.
So that stays in a revolving?
No, it's in its own formula account line.
But if it's not spent by June 30th, it carries over?
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. Okay.
Yep, yep.
I think we ask the same questions every
I
year.
think I've asked that before.
That's okay. We can have
No, I'm not
we
saying
can
you
have a refresher. So,
Good thing I'm not on that committee. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
yeah. Yeah, I think over the years, the formula grant has changed, but while I've been here, when I think it was a fairly new change, it can stay, so.
Okay, great.
Any other finance questions?
Very well managed.
Okay. Still getting, 2 years, while it's 2 years, it's still in that learning phase, right, of what exactly everything costs and how to budget and this and that. So I think, I feel, but would always appreciate the feedback that we're doing quite a bit with what we have, and clearly I think we can do more. You see that we can do more with what we have. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Assistant Director's Report. Nisha took in a few events over the past month since we last met, including she attended her first NEAT board meeting just a week or so ago. She is she went over to ONT, had their grand opening for the hub. Both she and Frank went because the ONT had wanted to showcase the partners and have the vans with the names out there, and they were able to mingle and share how our food pantry works with the attendees of the program. So it was nice, and yeah. Any questions from her report? I heard only great feedback about the scavenger hunt, so thank you to Laurel for helping make that happen too.
It was fun to do. If you decide to do it again, I would love to be on that because,
Awesome.
yeah, it was fun.
So for FY statistics and FY '25 statistics and insights, again, just sort of continuously looking. It was interesting because Nisha had a planned absence for a week, during this time, and so we were always both tag teaming putting things in, but it happened to be at a time where there were a lot of cancellations. And then it occurred to me like, oh, those cancellations count a lot for our interaction number, and so I think that sort of can skew things. So still trying to figure out the best way of reporting, and I'm starting to think it might be just looking at buckets of attendance and or office visits, something more substantial other than just counting the total interactions. While it is important because that is our time and it's worthwhile, and every interaction we do, want to make sure that we put people first, but I don't know that it paints the full picture of what we do.
What's happening? And what's actually happening?
So, definitely interested. I mean, we have the data as clearly for every little thing. So if there is anything in particular that you all as a board feel might be really useful, we can pull it. Right now, I'm thinking, looking at attendance-wise, in the big buckets of, health, dementia programming, sort of subsective of that, social programming and those kind of things. But we can go as broad or as detailed as you would like. I'm right now, since we're starting up a new fiscal year, trying once again to align with the, once again, new EOA, or the Executive Office, of Aging, with their buckets, and their buckets are really, they're not necessarily intuitive. So I think we're still working on it. I am on their advisory board for this particular project, but it's, under support, we have, there's something like van trips. Like, I wouldn't think of van trips being under the support line.
Well, I guess
I would say
van trips, if it's, where are they going?
Yeah.
Social trips, no.
Yeah, so
But
that's what I
it's-
mean, that everything is sort of,
Yeah, the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's-
so it's not, so their buckets don't necessarily line up with, I think would be helpful for me to learn, but I still need to do their buckets, so it's still a work in progress. But
You need
again,
you need a pail, not a bucket, right? And a sub pail, that this is what really was.
yeah, so, I'll keep diving into it. I really would love to have it settled, for next year. But again, if there's any information that you would find really helpful, more than happy to pull that. Know that you can ask for it. I know a couple of you, we met one-on-one in regards to just sort of feedback for myself and in communicating with the board. And I know we had talked about, what is success? Like, how do we define success? That's a really tricky one, but one I think might be worthwhile to to dig a little deeper into. So, yeah.
Can I backtrack to the pantry? I have one
Yes.
follow-up question. It was supposed to be checked on June 2nd. Did they come?
Oh, for our, yeah,
Okay, and that's all good?
yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
That's a good question. How do we define success?
Because I think it is a little bit of both, you and I talked about, right? It's definitely numbers, like, but that's not the whole picture, as we just spoke about. It's also quality.
Right.
As, for Memory Cafe is a perfect example. While currently those numbers are low, I don't want to stop that service because it's such an instrumental part of the people that do come, of their, routine.
Yeah. What does
yeah.
success look like and sound like?
Yeah.
The qualitative parts.
Mm-hmm.
Good question.
So maybe we can all think on that. And also aligning, strategically too, and so that we as a staff and us as you as a board know, what we're aiming for. Okay. Any other programming? I did, in regards to the food pantry, we had 86 attendees this month, or people that came in. Again, that's a duplicated number, just a little over 1,000 pounds of food. I attended the monthly age span meeting for COA directors, and they did give an update on the farmers market vouchers. So typically we get about 20 or 25, which is sufficient for our current population. And the books were for $50 worth of vegetables that you could purchase at a farmer's market or a farmer's stand. So for us around here, a lot of people would go to Chris's, and then Wally's were two popular ones, but there's many that people could go to. However, mentioning the cuts, that they don't know the number, but it will be a cut. So they will let us know how many vouchers we receive. And in addition to the number of booklets being less, they do know that instead of $50, it will be $25 a booklet in each booklet. So it's not much, but that is the situation that we are in. So, I will put it out there that, one, Claire Walsh has been amazing giving us eggs from her chickens, so really appreciate that. And some others, have given donations of produce growing in their farms or backyards, so really appreciate those community members, being generous with their work. So there's those resources. Definitely ONT does a really great job providing fruits and vegetables as much as they can. They work with a number of partners and know that this is a vital resource. And, as mentioned last time, I would be surprised if it's going to be this summer, but, it did seem like the new regional person for the Board of Health is interested in starting a farmer's market. Again, I don't know what that means in regards to payment, but, still something in progress. So, yeah. So those will be out, distributed on August 6th. We generally don't get too much lead time in regards to knowing how many we have. They typically drop them off probably the week before, couple days before. And then they are on a first come, first served basis. It is a statewide program. We cannot hold on to them. So, whoever comes in and is eligible, they fill out a form and sign. It is yours.
So, that being said, people who are eligible, would they be contacted, said, the coupon books are here? Because that'll be between newsletters, or do you want people who know that they,
So
are
we'll
eligible.
contact, everyone that received them last year. Again, they are,
so that they know when they're in? That's
yeah,
what
there's no, I'll double check, but I feel pretty confident in saying that everybody that has received one is a regular user of our services. And so, again, we know the date. They will be here to be distributed August 6th, statewide, anywhere. If you know someplace else, you can,
Sorry. Woo.
you can go get them. And I think that was some, a point of confusion last year, just talking to people that this is a state program. If you go into a place that is giving them out, and you have not received one yet, you can request that booklet. So, yeah.
Okay.
One other question.
Yeah.
Is the amount of food that you distribute, is that included with the farmers market gift certificates?
No, so this is just the pounds of food.
Okay.
Yep. That we give out from our
All right.
room, yeah. Anything else there? Food pantry? Legislative update. So I put in the, I can't read this, from, it's okay. So,
On here, sorry.
MCOA did a really great job putting out sort of some fact sheets of all the various bills coming up that that are specific to either the COA as a town department and or older adults in the community. So certainly some of these resonate maybe more than others with us as individuals or us as a department. But encourage people to take a look, talk to your legislators and let them know it is important. When I look at this list, I'm like, how could they not support any of these? But, it is, I appreciate their summary of sharing this with us. So a couple of them, the first one on there is the council's on aging, is actual text in the law, so updating it much like you all did for, wording. So they updated that, as well as while you all are a supervisory board, there are many that are advisory boards, and so they've updated the language, making sure that those directors can hire their staff as well. So that was nice to see. A big one I hear a lot about, and I hope will be improved, is the family caregivers, and making sure that hopefully at some point they can get paid for their time and service to their family members. So any thoughts or questions on those?
Actually, I watched a Zoom program, and I think if you are taking time away from your job, from your work, to be a caretaker, and the person is living with you, the person for whom you're caring is living with you, you can get compensation in Massachusetts. There's some,
If you're a family member?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
nice.
that got changed.
Okay.
That was a big deal in the
Yeah,
presentation, but I was pleased to see that there had been some progress in that area.
good. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, definitely a lot of webinars out there too. As some of you are aware, the Mass Senior Action Council, does a lot of push for these things as well. So, yeah.
And there's a lot of criteria to qualify
I know.
for the compensation.
Right.
A lot.
Yeah, yeah,
But it exists, which is a step of progress.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Staffing update. So as we know, we are in the middle of hiring for the program coordinator. We have probably well over, probably approaching 60 applications at this point. Interviewing still probably hovering around 25 or so. All of those will wrap up this week. Some really phenomenal candidates, very excited about it. And hopefully we'll get somebody set up in July at a time convenient for them. And we'll take it from there. New office hours. So I had the conversation, I broached it with Barbara, also had the conversation with our incoming board chair, Sharon, and then certainly with Rebecca. So I personally was wanting it, one, because I was working those hours or more anyway. And so for me to be able to just think in sustainability and not being burnt out, I do keep my work most of the time at work. And so then by the time Friday comes and I've well shot the 4 hours, that comes, I was thinking it would be best for my mental health and in connection to better serve the COA if I could just then not come in on Fridays and give myself a full break to come in fully charged on Monday. In addition, I do think it's nice to have a consistent end time for the community because people are always like, oh, I thought you were here till 4, or oh, this day's 4:30, and it's a little bit up and down. So, having that I'm here every day, Monday through Thursday until 5 o'clock, I think would help. Same thing for Nisha, that Monday through Thursday ends at 4:30, just sort of a consistency again, because she was even more back and forth between 4 and 4:30. She will be here on Fridays in person, as you saw from, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the hours for all town hall employees. It's a handful of people that are here on Fridays.
So, I guess my question is, what are your current hours? What are we changing from?
So my current hours are, so again, the total number is not changing.
Yeah, no, I
But
understand that.
yeah.
I'm not criticizing.
Oh, no, I just wanted, yeah.
People, so I don't know about the rest of you, but because people in town know that I'm on the board,
Yeah.
I get questions.
Yeah.
I get questions about the cost of van trips.
Yeah.
I get questions about different activities.
Uh-huh.
And I get questions, so I like to understand so that I can give them an intelligent answer.
Yeah.
As
So
opposed to saying, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I always tell people I'm here till 4:30.
So basically.
Monday
and
through
what
Thursday.
what time is the door to town hall unlocked? 8?
It should be 8, yes.
8?
Yeah,
And then is it locked at 4:30?
it should. I don't know. That I don't know. There is.
Except
there-
on Mondays. 'cause
There
Mondays are until
isn't,
6.
there isn't, that is more of a building personnel thing that is outside of my realm. So there's not
But
consistency there.
So it used to be, I'm just trying to understand what the change is.
So I can tell you my change, but I don't have control of that
But
front
your
door.
change is, you're probably coming in at the same time you always were coming in. But
Yeah.
you're gonna,
But wasn't
you're not,
being
you're not,
paid
you
for
will
that.
not be here on Fridays.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then, and
Nisha's not, Nisha's, again, she was doing some starting at 4:30 and some, stopping at 4:30 and some stopping at 4. So it's a consistent start time of 8:15 and a consistent end time of 8:30 just makes it flat and easy.
all right.
So she was, 8 to 4 on some days, 8 to 4:30 on other days, and then not in town hall on Fridays.
Oh, okay.
So I can send you the before and after if that's easier.
Yeah.
It would be helpful.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm not, I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's your department. I think you should be able to set the hours how you want, you know, I think.
But I mean, I think, is part of the issue, right? Nobody really knows their hours.
Well, so that being said, if town hall is locked at 4 or 4:30, and I know that you don't have control, there are a number, as you sent us the staff directory in hours 2025 for the
Yeah.
whole staff
Yeah.
here. People who work till 6, not including Mondays, because I know they're open for that. They're locked in, they're doing other work, they're not meeting. the
I don't
public.
know. I mean, there are many times, to be quite honest, where I come out, all the lights are off, and the door is unlocked. So I don't know.
Well, because the meetings, maybe they're having a meeting or whatever, you know, so this, I think, this makes a lot more sense. If you've been doing these hours anyway and not being compensated.
And
As
I mean,
director,
I
it's
take
not that you
full
always-
full responsibility. It's, it's up to me to set those boundaries.
Yep.
In an effort to try to help me make those boundaries. This is,
But
yeah.
I just think if this is, so if these are gonna be publicized.
Yes.
Which is, I
Yeah.
think that people just need to understand that, okay.
Oh, the
yes,
front door will be open if we're here.
But do
At
you
at
really?
7:30?
At 7:30? I mean, do you really want, so say you're the only, just
Yeah.
my thought
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
If you're the only person in town hall at 7:30 in the
Mm-hmm.
morning, which, do you really want the front door unlocked? I mean, it seems
yeah.
to me that there should be,
Well, this is a
You
good
don't
question for me to ask Rebecca, so I
yeah,
will.
I mean,
do
you
so.
don't need to, I mean, just because you're working at 7:30 doesn't mean someone can come in at 7:30.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So I think that is my point.
okay.
Same thing at the end of the
At the
day.
end of the day, just because if
Or
people are used to
4:30,
town hall shutting at 4:30, they should, you can work till, you know.
Yeah,
There's
no, I
plenty
mean,
of things that
that's
you're
a,
doing that isn't- I just don't want.
it's a good question, because I do feel that when it's daylight hours, I'm like, oh, whatever, but when I do come out and it's dark and I don't
Yeah.
know that the door is unlocked,
mean,
I
do
do
think
feel weird.
it's It's a safety, you know.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
safety thing too.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that,
I mean, even looking at the library.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't open till 1 today. There will be people in there at noon, but you can't get in
Right.
there.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's locked, and there may be one person, because they have other work besides dealing with the
Right.
patrons.
yeah,
You have your paperwork, your direct, you know.
Yeah.
So you have that extra time on the window.
Mm-hmm. yeah.
to get the-
I
I'll
think you should just
ask.
be careful about publicizing this
Yeah.
schedule to the public.
Yeah.
Have
'Cause I
it-
do
Phone
think-
calls could be useful, but I understand.
You know?
Well taken, and I will definitely also address it with
Right.
town administrator.
Because like if town hall like on Fridays, I mean, I think it closes at noon.
Right, but there are people here.
There are people here, but the hours should be,
So maybe office hours.
Office hours.
And that's
Yeah.
not what your
Yeah.
hours
you
are.
know, are 8 to 4:30 and
8
8
to
to
4.
12, whatever.
Right.
You still work your hours. I just,
right.
Yeah, yeah.
That the office is open from 8 every day
Uh-huh.
till 12 on Fridays, and 4 or 4:30, I don't know when
4:30,
they actually
whatever it is, yeah. I just.
post. I don't know. I make
Yeah.
sure I'm here by 4, 'cause you never know.
Yeah.
Except on
I
Mondays. so,
appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's why you were bringing it up, not like, well,
No, no,
we don't want
no.
you having Fridays.
No, 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 I didn't take it as that. yeah.
7:50, when I saw the set, whatever the early ones were, I was like, ooh,
That's
I'm not sure that's,
safe.
yeah.
That was my thing, too. And I didn't mean to, but I don't. think-
Yeah, I mean,
Unless
I
there are
will
other people
tell
involved.
you personally, because I don't like the responsibility being on me to say when the door is open or not. When I come in, I leave it locked
Yeah.
because I don't know who honestly unlocks it or
Right.
not.
I would just feel better to know that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so right now that is happening, but you're right that maybe when we post it publicly to say office,
Yeah.
building hours
Yeah, it's
open,
like
yeah.
8 to 4:30 or 8
Yeah.
to 12 on Fridays. or
Yeah.
Something just so that,
Yep.
All right.
Anything else?
Just a question, actually Deb had brought it up, how will the, how will the office be staffed on that half day on Friday?
Yeah.
If Nisha is sick or
Yeah.
on vacation, how would that be?
I think probably case by case, certainly if I need to be here, I'll be here, but it is a pretty light load, so, but we'll make sure
That
it's being
happens
communication.
across the board,
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, if the town clerk is sick, she's sick. There's no town
Yeah,
clerk
I know, but I also
office.
know how frustrating and disappointing it is. So if it can be planned to be here, absolutely. If it's
Right.
a sick impromptu, I don't know,
But that does lead me to another question. I'm assuming we know how many hours we've budgeted for the new program
Yep.
coordinator. Are you going, I, totally up to you. Are you working to set up those specific hours based on the person?
Yeah, I just want it.
You haven't set those in
No,
stone yet?
no.
So there could also be, who knows, there could be a potential of someone, if Nisha is out and we.
We felt like we
potentially
would
having
have another
coverage.
person. Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I just hate to have someone who's taken, thinks that the hours are 8 to 12 on Friday. They've taken time off from
Yeah.
work, they have a family emergency, and they decide to walk in.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I think we just
absolutely.
need to have that thought out a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sharon, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, so again, putting community first, absolutely will, when it's planned, make sure that we're here and staffed, and also acknowledging, sometimes things come up for us too.
Yeah, that's true, obviously.
But hopefully that won't be the norm, so, yeah.
We'll have a sick bed in the office.
And then I did include I got a really nice message from one of our community members who uses Neat, and again, that's our volunteer drivers in town and surrounding towns, and so I'll just read it for those of you who may be listening. If I don't read it correctly, somebody can tell me. She said, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate Charlie. He's wonderful, and I just can't thank you enough for the service that you provide us. He's so kind, so conscientious, and so considerate. I am just so very grateful. I really had no other way to get to the hospital today, and he was terrific. I am very, very humbly grateful and very appreciative of everything. So again, this was just a really wonderful and kind reminder of the work that we do as a community to serve our older adults. So thank you to Charlie Herman for that. Any other thoughts or questions for me?
Okay, thank you. In other business, subcommittee updates, well, bylaws were all set. Finance, all set. Personnel, you're doing the hiring of our new person.
Can I, if there's was there any more updates on personnel? I just had a question on my schedule for performance review.
Yes.
You don't have to, you can let me know. I just wanted to put it out there just so I can plan and
So-
prepare.
Last year, did we do it on your anniversary, or?
Yeah, it was completed by July 5th last year.
Okay, so it's for the fiscal year, not the year, well, yeah, we
Yeah,
did start,
so-
that's right. So personnel, who is a member of the personnel? Irene and
And
Linda Workman, okay. So you guys can meet separately and get working on that. Good, thank you. I forgot about that. Nominating, I am the nominating committee as of right now. So today, we will be voting on our officers of the board for the next fiscal year. And I see that, no, it's not, votes may be taken. We do that now, I guess. So unless otherwise, we discussed it last meeting, unless other people have changed their mind or have other suggestions. Right now, the slate of officers is for the chair, Sharon Hines, vice chair, Barbara Sanborn, secretary, Irene Thomas, and treasurer, Deb Stevenson. So can we take a vote? Do we have a motion to take a vote for the whole slate of officers, or do you want to do it individually?
I'll just do the whole slate. I would say just,
Okay.
unless there's.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept?
Okay, second? Okay. All in favor of voting the slate of officers for the COA Board for 2026, as stated before, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any with, not withhold? Yeah, any, okay, so it's unanimous. We don't, I think we do need to vote on
The 6:30, the new people, the 6:30, 28.
the 6:30, 28 people.
That are
Yes,
re-upping.
so that would be Deb Stevenson, Linda Workman, and myself. We have submitted our intentions to Andy Schindler, and now we need a vote from the board to accept us as continuing members of the board.
So moved.
Thank you. I was gonna say, so I have a motion. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes, I can vote, because I can vote for the other two, right? Yeah. Okay. That's that. And Friends of the COA, Larry, you're up. And thank you for coming.
Happy to be here, and welcome, George. Nice to see another gentleman sitting here. I want to first, I missed the May meeting, and I want to just thank Trudy Dooner and Marianne Naffa for helping with the yard sale. We made a good amount of money from that, and it'll be, I'm sure, an annual yard sale, at least as long as we can run it. Coming up, the Friends have an event on July 17th. This will come out in the COA newsletter, but there's a ladies' tea to be held at the Congregational Church. I have volunteered, and there are 4 now, a few good men who are going to be there to serve tea. We would welcome a few more servers, so anybody in town or associated with the Council on Aging in any way, you're welcome to sign up. You can get in touch with me through the Council on Aging office. We would welcome a few more good men, so it's a way to serve the community by serving the women who serve the community. So we would welcome that participation. There is going to be no July meeting of the Friends. We typically have our meeting the first Thursday of the month, but that happens to fall on July 4th. And then, there are not critical things on our agenda, so we will probably not have a meeting until August. But coming up for July and August, we are resurrecting the coin drive that we ran last summer. We raised about $500 and mostly pennies, nickels, and dimes. We will have a jug out in the hall of town, the foyer of Town Hall. If you have that collection of coins that's sitting in your console of your car or a jar at home that you've been collecting coins, or you're walking down the street and find a dime on the ground, pick it up, put it in the jar. Every cent counts, and every cent that we that's donated goes to the good work of the Council on Aging. I also, while I'm here, want to make a plug for NEAT, Northern Essex Elder Transport. I was surprised to find out that I am the only signed-up NEAT driver that lives in Groveland. No?
Is that true?
No?
Probably.
Okay, well, that's what I was told. Anyhow, there is always a call for drivers for NEAT, and it's a valuable service because there are people who need transport to their appointments. And I just found out recently that the mileage reimbursement has jumped from 58 or 59 cents up to 75 cents a mile, which is a pretty significant jump. And if that is a factor in your decision to welcome someone to ride in your car, I think it's another incentive to sign up a few more members. But that's all I have.
Thank you. That's a lot. Okay, anything under other business that someone would like to bring up before we go into our continued discussion of our board and staff goals?
I forgot to make a programming announcement. Next Wednesday, June 25th, is our Growing Allies program, and that is taking place at 1 p.m. up at VC Park. It is open to any and all. It will be led by social worker Ro Fiore, in just a very casual and welcoming space to get questions answered, to gain a better understanding of how we, as community members, can be a more inclusive community, to be the neighbors that we want to be, and support our LGBTQ plus friends and family and neighbors. So please do join us again next Wednesday, June 25th, 1 o'clock at VC. We will have light refreshments. It's a lovely space, like a living room. So
Do we
We'll see
need
you
to,
there.
do people need to RSVP for that? Or would you
I-
like people to
I
RSVP?
personally love it when people RSVP. We will be holding this particular program no matter what, but let's say I only have 10 cupcakes, and but yeah, thank you. But you don't have to. If people feel more comfortable just coming in, that's okay too.
Thank you. So moving on to our June meeting focus area, we are working with the strategic planning, pillars and objectives. Our assignment for this month was to come up with some objectives that would,
For the board
for the board,
members, yeah.
that would go along with the pillars and objectives we have set. So I am opening the table to people, whoever.
Right.
Go Deb.
Well, one of the things we've talked about for a while was putting together that packet. And, you know, we've gotten some samples of what recent board members have received. We've, you know, gotten our contact information, but I do think actually formalizing that would be a really good idea. So I think that's something we could, if we wanted to, we could put together an ad hoc committee to formalize that. So I would suggest that as a worthwhile objective, and it's something that's measurable. We'll know whether or not we did it, so we'll be able to measure it, which is nice. And the, you know, only other thing that I had thought about was somehow trying to make sure, this is more of a, I don't know if it's individual for each of us, but for, like, I very rarely, some people are really good about attending the social events. I don't usually go to those. So it might be that I don't know how we word this, but for example, I attended my first book discussion, and that was fascinating. It was very good. So I'm really glad that I was able to find a day when I could actually do that. You know, there's a lot of different, you know, health and fitness activities. I'm not really sure. I don't know how we word that, but
As board members.
as board members, to make sure that we have a,
Yeah.
and some of you guys are at a lot of stuff, so you already know it. I'm not at a lot of stuff. So maybe that's more just for me.
Well, a couple things. One, love it, and I really see that as maybe wording it, as again, up to you, but I see it as like 100% participation from the board, and then whatever that number is. But you volunteer a lot with
Yeah,
the
but I mean,
pantry.
it's not, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know
Yeah.
how we word that, but it would be
Yeah.
nice if we,
As a board member, to participate in COA activities.
well,
That
I don't
would
know,
be
it's got to be a little
volunteering.
more,
Yeah, it's got to be like a number,
Well,
but yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
or do we make
Because
sure,
that's one of your responsibilities
Yeah.
of being a board member.
or is it just that we say, make sure that at least one board member, I don't know what the best way to do this is. But that's,
I like individual.
Individual.
I mean, just, you all are advocates for the community, and you bring, as individuals, we all bring our own perspective and voice to the table. So this isn't, I personally think it would be wonderful to see people that try new things that they haven't been at before, because maybe, the feedback would be useful for me to be like, oh, well, this is different, or this could be better, and this is maybe why I don't tend to go to these programs, and or maybe it's different and you loved it and you'll continue going, but just offering your perspective in different ways, I think, for feedback, for us to continually grow and improve. And then separately, as ambassadors, to talk and see what
Promote it.
you are doing and supporting people. Yeah.
I just don't know how to
Yeah.
appropriately word that.
To
Because there are some things people can't go to.
Yeah,
Right.
And there's some
exactly.
things that people, for whatever reason.
Don't float your boat.
I think maybe you attend one program or event a quarter at least. I don't know. I mean,
That's
just talk,
measurable.
just to putting it
Yeah,
out there.
I just don't want to put anything on anyone that they don't.
Well, I mean, if you attend one thing, so that could be, you could be a volunteer. I would account that as attendance, or you could, or
Board
participate.
meetings.
No. Or attend a workshop, or attend a, I think anything that the COA puts out there is, would love to have you, which
Kind
I
of an
think
odd-
all
I'm
you
sorry.
do. No, go.
Kind of an offshoot of that, certainly not written in probably, but what I thought I had was, if we all had badges, like we did at the symposium, and we wore them. So when we went to events or volunteering, delivering, whatever, people would see us, I mean, we would stand out and kind of, again, we love to sit with our friends, but mingling a little bit, sitting next to somebody you don't know at all, and engage them in conversation. So we're visible, right, and we're ambassadors, so people know who we are.
What, not a hat?
I'm sorry?
Not a hat?
You can make that your personal signature. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and we can make an actual name tag, because I was thinking about doing that for our van assistant person, so that people can identify them as a volunteer to ask the questions for, so, yeah.
Okay, that's very good. Anything else?
That's it. Those are my two ideas. That's it.
Irene?
Well, I kept thinking about, we kept talking about board members getting some training. And I think, if each of us did one or two trainings a year, and a training perhaps can be, I felt I was going through a training reading the Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative. I learned a lot in that. And there are other opportunities at times, just Zoom trainings. Or, I don't know if AARP, or not necessarily AARP, but H-SPAN does trainings at times.
Occasionally they do something to the public, but yeah, I think the word training is, or professional development, right, can be pretty broad. I see Wednesdays talk about, being an ally in the community as essentially a professional development opportunity. Yeah, I
I mean, even
like that.
the whole thing you had on, dementia training, that the workshops.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
Even those book discussion groups, not that I've gone to all of them, but,
Yeah.
if you read the book, that's a developmental training opportunity.
Indeed.
So you'd really do 2 for 1 with this.
Right. But, having been on the board for many, many years, this is something, I did not see that so much with way back, for boards, unless it was like, well, maybe they'd go to a meal, and that would be it. And my feeling is, you need to be involved in the COA if you're on this board. You need to volunteer in some way. You need to be visible for people. Like Deb said, she's being stopped by people. "Oh, you're on the board. What's this? What's," and be knowledgeable about, not that we are the answer to things, but if, at least to promote the COA, and, "Oh, this was so much fun," or "You should have come," or, which, by the way, that summer kickoff was fantastic,
Love it. Thank you.
as you saw me dancing. I loved it. It was great. But that's a fun thing, but there's
Yeah.
also learning opportunities and professional development and, yeah, so, very good, Irene, yeah.
Yeah, I like the educational. I'm sure we could come up with,
Yeah.
So we would need a key result. I just checked on what the wording was. So it could be, board members keep a list, an annual list of the trainings and informational workshops or whatever they attend, with the goal of, 1 per quarter or something.
I really like that. I mean, not only, I'm thinking more as a tactical thing, but writing grant reports. I mean, that would be really nice to show, look how invested our board is. Look what they're doing. But yeah.
because there's a lot we don't know.
Oh,
Like,
Just ever changing too. Yeah.
And a possibility, too, if you attended a professional development or a training, and no one else on the board did, that person do a little
report
presentation.
back, yeah, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
how about once a quarter, because,
Now, I think if you do, you've got to make sure, let's not,
Because now you're up to 2 things.
and then you've got to do, so I think maybe we
Right.
should do,
unless you double
let's
them.
start easy. This is new for all of us, so let's start easy. We don't want to discourage people,
Right,
so,
and a quarter goes by very quickly when you're
Right.
old.
so if you kept like the activity to 1 a quarter.
1 a
'cause
quarter.
That's, I mean,
Yeah.
3B fit.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to that anyways, that could be your activity. It's fine, I mean, we got to start, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1 or 2 educational.
Yeah. Maybe like,
For our first year.
I like 2.
And then we could find,
2
we
per
might
year.
find, it wouldn't surprise me if we find out that we do these educational things, and we get really excited about the stuff we learn, and we want to do more. So, I don't want to overwhelm people by saying, okay, and have everybody sitting there, like, on
Oh, the quarter's
end of the
almost
quarter,
over.
you know? It's September 28th, what can I find that's an educational, I don't want it to be that.
Yeah.
No,
I
it
don't
should be
think.
something that,
You're interested in.
and like you were saying before, we all have different interests.
Right.
Different, that's what we bring to the board. So I may not want to go to something that's, like you said, September 28th, the only thing available is, and I'm like, okay, doing my homework. I don't want to be
Yeah.
doing homework. I want to enjoy being a board member
Right,
and learning,
and learning things,
not just
yeah.
learning things that, just to get it done, get her done, Yeah.
Yeah, I just put it out there that, certainly I get a lot of emails and communications about things. It's all out there. I'm sure you can find too. But if for some reason you have a real strong interest in an area and would like any sort of guidance on where to go, happy to help where I can.
Okay.
But you provide so many opportunities with informational programs.
Right.
Right.
um,
And as
And we
Irene said,
can
even
participate.
reading this, what you did, reading that, any of these legislative actions, I mean,
I
going in and
know,
reading the stuff
yeah.
about the legislative act, if you, that was something, if you found one of those, however many there were, maybe you're really interested in the family caregiver. You could go in, you
Right.
could go to that link, you could find out about it, and then you could come to a board meeting, you could say, hey, this is what's going on with that.
Exactly.
It's,
I think expecting, I personally think it's an advantage for each of us to just keep a list of that which we are
yes.
learning.
Absolutely.
But then, said we have to quantify this, so of at least 2 a year. And if it's a new program with information that's worthy to share with the board, that we do that. But I see that kind of under the objective of strengthen the COA's ability to meet evolving needs of older adults in Groveland, whereas I saw the, going to participating in one event of some kind every quarter or so is under Pillar 2, fostering the COA as an open, welcoming, and safe community.
Good, Irene. I like that.
Thank you, Deb.
Very good.
I don't think that's too burdensome. If it is, let's talk about that.
Oh,
But-
we didn't do it. We didn't meet our goal, objective.
Exactly, that's the thing, it's a
Right,
goal.
That's right, it's a
It's a goal,
goal.
it's an objective.
It's
not
We
like
didn't
someone's
meet
gonna
it. Maybe
kick
next year we
It's
come
a-
back and say,
Yeah, it's a key result that we may have to
key result,
revise
that's
in
the
the future.
word. Yeah.
And the packet, I think, would go, where would the packet?
I would say under the
go?
welcoming, kind of under the welcoming.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely welcoming too, yeah.
But yeah, and I do think the participation, if we, and I don't think we have to say this, but if we each maybe try and stretch our comfort zone. Like,
Yeah.
like I know, I'm gonna attempt to go, it's really hard for me, I'm gonna attempt to go on a van trip one of these days. Try it.
When you say it out loud, we're going to hold you accountable.
Wow.
I'm gonna try, but
It's like an oath.
I don't really like not being able to control my start and leave times. That's gonna be one of my personal goals, is to actually make myself go on a van trip.
Well, I found when I started on the board, there was so much I didn't know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I said, I think I should get involved in the pantry a little bit and find out what that's all about. Or, okay, what is this traveling chef? And then go on a van trip, because I wanted to observe how that worked. And at that point, I had the luxury of a little more time flexibility. So I was able to get involved, and I wanted to see more of the whole by participating and observing parts. I think that's very valuable.
Absolutely.
It was valuable for me, for sure.
Sharon, did you come up with any ideas, objectives?
No, just the idea of, presentation to the board after attending these. Lots of activities that I've been to. First of all, I'm not, going out and being in a group, a crowd, is something that's, in a crowd is not, whatever it is, 30 people, but it's still, but when I first joined, I didn't go at first. I just didn't. But now I love them. I so enjoy them. And I missed yesterday because I put it in my calendar, but apparently I didn't sign up. So there's that, other learning, all kinds of learning activities. So again, I have to say, just a little testimonial, that being a part of the COA has made a huge difference in my life. And that's, and I think that's what it's all about. So that's my input.
I think you get the first ambassador badge.
Oh, I was going to say,
And I will, I'm constantly, my family knows all about what's happening in the COA. So, yeah, so that's what I have.
good, thank you. Linda?
Yeah.
Well, my only thing, and I didn't write it down, but it kind of piggybacks on everything they've been saying, the ambassador business. We had something about have a volunteer greeter team, that if you are attending an event, and if we do get these badges, to be sure that you know, are either at the table signing people in, or going around and, hi, how you doing? Or just, even if you don't know somebody, I know it's hard if you're shy. Believe it or not, I used to be very shy. I just push myself, hi. I'm crazy. You know? But I think that's important, and let people feel welcome at these events. Once they make connections. As board members, I feel, instead of always sitting at the table with the whole board, sometimes we do that. I do that, because I'm looking around, who can I sit with? You know, like the lunch table back in high school, the first day of high school each year. But, I sat with a few different people the other day, and I very well, moved about at the barbecue. So I think that's an important thing, is to be ambassadors so that we can spread the word. And even if, I do it at my church, I do it at another COA that I attend, I say, come to Groveland, we have this, we have that, that, I think that can be, I don't know how you would measure it. That's the only thing when I'm thinking an objective has to be measurable.
Well, I think it's
Check in.
your attendance, yeah.
It has
of doing
attendance
it,
that I was
your-
here, and it's
your time.
piggybacking with all of what we've said before. But while there, just kind of be an advocate for other programs that are going on, or events, or did you know that we have a food pantry, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I think it makes a difference. I feel like when it's intentional, right? So I think having it as a listed goal, if you decide to move that way, is different than it's sort of back there, but
Yeah.
out loud, is nice. And then it puts you in a thinking from my perspective, when I have something like that, it's like, all right, I have to do this, right? So I'm going to go in there, and this
Right.
is how I'm going to act. But yeah.
I have to say, wearing a badge too, if I just walked up to somebody and, that would be hard for me, but wearing the badge just makes a difference. And people,
Official
you walk up and you don't have the badge, and people are like, who's she? But, if we have the badge and they know we're on the board, and, I think that, that makes a difference.
I'm kind of thinking this fits under Pillar 3, broaden the COA's community connections.
Yes, yes.
Making personal connections, and maybe there's even a way, come and meet the board and the directors, and, some kind of community discussion. What are your needs? Well, we were thinking of doing that for the survey anyway,
Right.
having some
Yeah,
open
dialogue there.
dialogues, yes.
Should we have our goal to be, maybe what we need to do is select certain events and rotate and make sure that there's a board ambassador
At each event.
at certain events. I don't think you need it for everything,
Right.
but I think maybe there's certain events that you would like to have, that Alyssa thinks it would be a good idea to have a board ambassador at. And then and we wouldn't, it doesn't have to be that everyone on the board would have to do that, but we could have, the goal could be to make sure a board ambassador attends
Well, as the newsletter comes out, we could,
Yeah.
discuss, well, I'm going to this, what are you going to?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're more than one
Right.
person, but making sure that something is being covered, or, I don't want to say covered, but,
Yeah,
If
and then not
somebody's
everybody would have to do it,
Yeah.
because some people,
oh, if you can,
if you
exactly.
can, right.
I mean, I'll
But
tell you
we-
right now, no Wednesdays this summer. That's my babysitting day, yeah, and your
Yeah.
Tuesdays, right?
So, yeah.
I actually did mine this morning for July and August. So, I mean, I already know which ones I'm going to go to. I would, would emailing each other once we know what we're going to be at, would that be helpful?
Yeah. Or I think, yeah, and I guess we just need to decide what our, like, how,
Priorities are.
is it, yeah, because I mean, I don't think things like, yoga and 3B Fit,
No.
game day, they probably don't need
Right.
a board ambassador. I still think it's,
I think
you
yes.
think they do?
Every once in a while. I mean, particularly for the game day folks who are regular people, it might be nice for them to
Yeah, that's
feel
true.
feel heard and valued that they're,
Okay,
I don't know.
okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, and we can. I mean, I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
no, I'm just
I guess
just
we
putting it
just
out
need to
there.
decide when and what those board, maybe our goal would be to, I'm not sure, because we do want to measure it. So maybe today we just pick a number out of the air and we say, begin a board ambassador program or outreach or something, and make sure that that X number of events have a board ambassador, and then we can figure out what they are.
So programming wise, as I'm sort of taking that on, and I am trying to, put the year out ahead of me, but I'm hoping, if it's not already evident to the board who has the newsletter, to do a program focused on outreach services, to do an educational program, to do a sort of fun entertainment kind of program. So those sort of 3 for attending, and then a social event surrounding food, and then 2 trips, and then our regular weekly games and fitness activities.
Trying to get the newsletter online. So speaking of that, registering for events, I have, as you know, for some reason cannot, it doesn't register. I'm thinking I'm registered and I walk in, it's like, your name's not on the list. It happened at the luncheon. It's
Yeah, so
this
I
thing,
think
and I'm
if
like,
you are seeing, troubleshooting, I don't know if this is your issue or not, but knowing that you do have to go all the way through checkout, and then you should see it and have confirmation on your screen that
Yeah.
you are registered. So if that's being done, then, and you know that you're having an issue, then, yeah, bring it to our attention. So then, 2 things: we can confirm that you're registered on our end, and 2, we can go to tech support with My Senior Center and try to figure out what's going on.
Speaking of that, are you getting a new web designer or a web company through the town?
The town is redoing their website, yep.
Right. So,
So we will, I'm going to take the next, hopefully, couple of weeks. The town website will be up on July 1, just for, I think, legality purposes and making sure meetings and posted and so forth. They will push it out in celebratory style once everybody has confirmed their pages are good to go. So I'll be working on that as much as I can, and hopefully I want to simplify it, have relevant and current information.
correct information.
So that will be definitely sometime, hopefully early July, if not by the 1st of July. Yeah.
Laurel, I'm going to need to leave shortly.
Oh, yes. So, if anything else, you have all the notes there, Irene? You can type up what we came up with
Yes,
today? Good.
I will
For next,
make a draft.
a draft. Very good. I think, unless there's any other business,
No business, but PBS is showing a documentary on caregiving, just if anybody's interested.
well, there's our first opportunity. Do you know the name of it?
Caregiving, crisis and caregiving.
Crisis in Care. Thank you. Okay, PBS. Can I have a motion to close the meeting at 10:59 a.m.?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. And Deb, you seconded? Okay. Thank you. I don't think we need to vote on that. Thank you.